Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, with a quick update on Bitcoin. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Alright, here we got Bitcoin on the 4-hour. I'm looking at the Coinbase chart. We obviously got that sell-off right after I said we came straight up to 12,000, exactly like I said. Got the massive dump. Got bought up again, just like I said. Where'd it come down to? We almost hit the 89, but we just cleared the 55. But essentially, the most important area was that heart line I was saying we were going to come down to. Now, what I want to pay attention to, though, is previous times when this has happened, okay? Every other time when this happened, we got up here, we sold down to the heart line or the bottom of the channel. Up here, down to the heart line, and then the bottom of the channel. To the top, to the heart line, consolidated, and then the bottom of the channel. And then we couldn't get back above the heart line, and we broke out of the bottom of the channel. Then the channel was acting as resistance. We consolidated below it long enough, and then finally, we obviously came up, tested it, got above the 200 MA, and then we were able to break above the channel back inside of it. Once we were back inside of it, we consolidated the halfway point, and then boom, back to the top. So now here we are out the top, and then we came back to the middle. So to me, the most likely thing that's going to happen is we're going to come back down here to retest the middle. And if that breaks, we're going to go back down to the bottom of the channel. If it holds, that 89 right there will correspond with it. We just fell short of it here, but that'll correspond with it perfectly. And then if we find strength and get bought up again, we can move to the upside, continue consolidating, and potentially break out of this range. But what this looks like to me is we essentially go up here, sell off, okay? And then what's the fib? We're going to take the fib from the top to the bottom. So from the peak to the bottom of the sell-off. And the Fibonacci, what do we expect? A 618 retrace. So we got the move back up to the 618. We expect a 2 fib level bounce, which would be the 0.5 and the 382. We came down to the 382. And then after the 2 fib level bounce, what do? We pay attention to see what happens. So when we hit the fib right here, the 236, we come back down to it. All right, so let's start from the beginning of the fibs. All right, we sell off. We immediately make it back to the 0.5. Immediately make it back to the 0.5. So 50% of the move gets bought up. And then we come back down 2 fib levels. So we go from the 0.5 to the 382, 382 to the 236. Okay? So we get a 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2 down. And then we get a 1, 2, 3 up, and then 1, 2 down. Okay? So what we're paying attention to now is right now we got a 3 up, 2 down, 3 up, 2 down. We want to pay attention to if we can gain strength and continue and get a 3 up and hit the 786 right here, and then come back down to the 0.5 and continue moving up. Or what I think is more likely to happen is we made it to the 618, we came back down here to the 382, so we're going to retest the bottom of the range. We're going to retest the downside targets and then see where that comes in. And again, I think the target right now is going to be that 10650 range where 89 and the heart line come into confluence. And that's going to give us the option to take out this bottom right here, this wick right here. That's going to give us the option to continue to the downside or potentially consolidate and move up. Now, if we look at the indicators, what do we have on the indicators? We've been in this massive, long bull trend for how long? Blue for how long? And we just flipped over red. So is it possible we're going to come back up here on the histogram and touch it again and then get rejected? Yes, definitely. Or move above it. We could move back to the upside if we consolidate long enough. But the likelihood we're going to get back above it now and just keep continuing on, I don't think is likely. Now this right here, we also got the hard sell on the 4-hour. We sold off, and now here, look, we're getting ready for the cross back to the upside. But what often happens in this situation is we'll get the cross and then immediately sell back off. So we'll get the cross up and then cross back down, or we'll get rejected here and then continue back down, and then we can see where this actual move is going to come out too. So that's our targets we're paying attention to, is either taking out this low right here or consolidating on the 89 and the heart line, or else potentially finding support and moving to the upside. So, but at this point in time, the number one first thing we look for trends or trend reversals or changes is the moving averages. So we have our 8 in red and we have our 21 in yellow. And look what happened. We've been in this massive move. We were in a trending trade this whole time after consolidation. We were in it this whole time since 91, 92. We were in this trend all the way up here, all the way up here, all the way up here. And then bam, now look, we sold down below it, consolidated below it, we dragged the red down, we got the cross, we attempted to save it, and then look, we try to save it again, we're getting rejected. So we have an hour now to close above this area, 11,300. If we don't close above 11,300, most likely thing's going to happen is, that's going to be a confirmed rejection, and then we're just going to consolidate and then sell off. We're going to dump and drag these back down, and then we can essentially get our retrace while the red is below the yellow, and then see how far we come down, which at this point in time, like I said, we've already tagged these. We fell just short of the 89, so the 89 is our first target, and then we're coming down to like the 10,000 range to hit the 200 exponential, or 9750 for the 200 simple, and then right smack in the middle is the bottom of our channel at 9900. So there's a couple targets for us to keep our eyes on. Let's look over to now. I want to look at the longer time frame. I want to look at the daily and take a look at this. And if you look on the daily, it's a little more clear what's going on here. We're inside this range essentially that we were showing before, but that whole range is inside a much larger channel. Okay, and the channel is devised from the parabolic trend support from like way back when. Okay, so we found support on this forever, moved up, came back down, found support, broke down from it, and then we were able to get back above the green. And then we couldn't get back above the yellow. We consolidated the yellow, couldn't get back above it, couldn't get back above it. If we can get back above this yellow, Bitcoin's going to go parabolic. Okay, if Bitcoin gets back up here and consolidates and moves to the upside, it's going to go parabolic. But if it doesn't, it's going to sell back down to the bottom of the range, like potentially, which is, anywhere around like 7,600, and still not violate this parabolic trend line, long-term trend line. But now we are potentially we're confirming these uptrends on a lot of time frames, but the longer time frames are just now confirming uptrends, but we're exhausted on like the medium time frames. So like the daily time frame and stuff like that is just absolutely exhausted right now. So if you look at like right here, we're basically about to get the sell-off on the TJD Jewel Thief. We got the blue coming down. We got a massive knife poke up here. Typically what I would expect is one more push to the upside, put in a higher high and get divergence. But we didn't actually manage to do that in this case. So, we're basically touching right here. So we could find support, get the bounce to the upside just like this. And now look, that bounce right there corresponded with a nice move. That's right here. We sell off basically, and then bam, get that nice pump up and come back down. And that's that same signature. So we could potentially still get that. I wouldn't rule it out completely. If we got like basically a knife shot up here and like the knife didn't go up that high, didn't go up as high as this green. It like came up to like the 100 mark right here. And then we got a new higher price. Takes out all the stops, builds final divergence, and then we can legitimately get like, correction sell off. But we are getting ready. This is like one of the most reliable signals for me is when I'm in the red distribution zone, we exit the distribution zone, and then we get the hard sell on the daily. That's usually like a nice continuation trade, anywhere from like basically like 6 days to like a month, essentially. So I'm keeping my eye on that. But you can see here on the longer time frames, we've essentially got rejected a bunch of times. We got that stab up, which is, that's that slingshot. We're pulling back the slingshot, getting ready to fling it in the direction we really want to go. So before you shoot an arrow, you pull back the arrow and then you shoot it in that direction. So that's what I look at this as. We're pulling back the arrow and then we're going to shoot it in that direction. So we came down here to the halfway mark. We're coming back up. So the most important thing is, are we going to hold at halfway, or are we going to hold this as resistance? Because whichever one that happens is going to tell us where we're going from here. So we just want to wait and let the market tell us. I mean, there's so much fundamentals. It's hard to be like bearish on anything right now. But at the same time, just because you're not bearish on something doesn't mean you have to be bullish either. So, and typically anybody that's been in for like these market cycles, like even like the shorter ones like this, obviously, everybody knows about the epic 20,000 bull run and everything, but even like the shorter market cycles like here and here, what happens at the very top of the market cycle? Bitcoin like just consolidates around and just kind of like F's around for a little bit, and the altcoins go nuts. Okay, we come down here, we get the massive sell off, and now look, we're potentially at the area where we would be topping out. And now the same thing that happens every time, distribution, because basically, you have all this Bitcoin, you move up, you make a bunch of money, but you can't make as much gains on Bitcoin as you can on altcoins. So you move that money into altcoins for temporary trades, temporary gains. They're smaller caps. The price moves quicker. You set yourself up. The altcoin moves. And then when you get out of that altcoin, you go back into Bitcoin typically. So that's when you see like Bitcoin consolidating and then finally gets that breakout as the alts were selling off. So I think when this massive sell-off came in the other day and you saw like Ethereum drop like 30% and stuff, that was people thinking, okay, that's it. I don't want to get stuck with this bag. And that's why all those stop losses getting hit, everybody's just dumping, because the market is completely overvalued right now. Everybody knows it. But the truth is that it's only overvalued compared to like normal metrics. Because with all the printing of money going on right now, it is possible, that we would get like hyperinflation of assets. But I was taking a look at some stuff, and honestly, looking at the statistics and everything, as far as the United States is concerned, I don't know enough about all the other countries right now. It's too much to like keep track of. But basically, the way it's looking right now is they're actually like not printing and spending money fast enough. So we're still having, negative effects. And not to mention, like, the velocity of money is like slowed to one of the lowest levels, of basically like modern history. It's less than 2. I think it was at like 1.5 or 1.7 or something like that. That's absolutely horrible. Like, anything under 2 is absolutely horrible. It means like you go spend that money one time, and then the other person that gets it doesn't even spend all that money one more time. It doesn't even get spent a second time all the way through. That's where we're at right now, 1.7%. So that means that money just goes basically to like pay down debt. It's not, nobody's buying any actual goods with it. It's not going towards like anything new. It's essentially just getting like sucked up by like interest payments or whatever. So definitely not, everybody's super bullish and thinks this hyperinflation thing's going to come in. But months ago, when all this first started happening, and I'm about to get out of here, but months ago, before all this started happening, I was talking about essentially, everybody rushes into these things. When the initial crash happens, everything gets wrecked. And then afterwards, everybody thinks they're a wise guy and they're a genius and a great investor. And they rush into all these assets. And then the prices pump back up. And then they get wrecked a second time or a first time or whatever. But they get stuck holding the bags. And then somewhere along the way, one of two things happens. Either a price capitulation or a time capitulation. And that's how markets bottom. Price capitulation is when the price goes down 50% and you say, I got to get out of here. Or the price goes down 75% or 85% or 90%. And finally you just cut your losses and you say, screw it, I'm out of this. It's just not cool. And that's capitulating because of price. But there's also time capitulation. And the way time capitulation works is it's like what they always say about like don't invest more than you're willing to lose. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to like buy Tesla stock and it's going to go to zero. But if you buy Tesla stock at 1,500 and it goes to 750 and then it takes 30 years to get back to 1,500, like you're stuck in that for 30 years. So you might capitulate because of time, because you were like expecting to be profitable by now. So like because of the cost of money and time value of money, it's not like, it's not an intelligent decision for you to necessarily keep that in an asset that's not moving or whatever. Or maybe you need that money to pay your car payment so your car doesn't get repossessed. So all of a sudden a Tesla stock is less important than your, Toyota Camry. Or, whatever the situation is. Same with gold and silver. Eventually, like, you might be in profit off these gold and silver, like, accumulation phases. And then finally, like, in the middle of everything, like, gold and silver at a decent price, but you don't have a job anymore. And, you're trying to retire. And all this different stuff is, like, piling up. And it finally comes to the point where you're like, okay, I was going to hold this stuff forever. But it's like, what am I holding it for? Like, I need it now. I need this money. I need the liquidity. Like, it was a useful store of value, and its use is done. Now I need that value, and it's done its job. Essentially, that was the point. It stored its value while everything else depreciated, and then when you needed it, it's there for you. And that's the beauty of gold and silver and stuff like that, is you could literally dig a hole in your yard, go out there, bury it, and 50 years later dig it back up, and it's still worth the same amount of money or more. But with depending on how you look at inflation and all that good stuff. But essentially, like, without any upkeep. As where if you like take like a Lamborghini and you buy it and you like park it in your yard and you come back in 50 years, it's going to be worth nothing. And that's my point, is like some things like have upkeep and other things don't. And that's why it's important to think like, when someone says gold or silver or Bitcoin is a store of value, like they're not thinking about it as a way to make money. They're thinking about it as a way to maintain the value that they've gained. So a lot of times what you'll see happen is in these cycles, we'll move to the top of the cycle. Okay, we'll consolidate around. You'll see like the Bitcoin will go first, then the mid caps like Ethereum and some of the other stuff, the popular ones, they start pumping around, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you see like all these like, little like total small cap, like you might never even heard of them coins, like start pumping and everything like that. And then finally that's it. the distribution has taken place, and then everybody sells off. And while that happens, you may see Bitcoin do a final move like what it did before, where it breaks out to a new high like that. And essentially what that is it's that money getting pulled out of those other assets, and then it's essentially getting put back into Bitcoin, not because they're expecting Bitcoin to continue going up, but rather because they're expecting a dump, and Bitcoin will hold the value better than the altcoins. So if Ethereum goes up 200% and Bitcoin goes up 30%, Ethereum might pull back 50%, Bitcoin might only pull back 20%. So that's all it is. That's why you say a store of value. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go up. It just means it's going to maintain its value better than the other assets or, potential investments that you're in. So, and I think that's very important to keep in mind. And it's very important to keep in mind that while everyone is right now very focused on either inflation or deflation, I think honestly what's going to happen is stagflation. We're going to end up with this stagnating economy, and we're going to end up with inflation on top of that. So because we're not producing any actual goods, there's nothing going on right now. There's no manufacturing. Like, what are we really in the business of right now in the United States? What are we in the business of? We're like testing. Like that's the is that what we're doing right now? Like we're doing testing around the country. We have probably like unemployment and government aid services has like additional people working for them. Like, I imagine the government's not laying off people. So, that's the security that we have. Like, what are we producing? Like, we don't have like, I don't know. I mean, the farmers aren't functionally producing. Like, we don't have functional distribution. Like, everything's like shut down, open back up, shut it down again. I mean, it just, to me, if you're going to have a V-shaped recovery in the economy, there has to be some kind of economic activity going on. So if we're going to stop the economy and then we're going to rebuild from the inside and grow strong, like what we should do, we need to actually start like building something and start growing strong and start like actually like manufacturing. Because the longer we just like stagnate around and don't do anything, like the worse we're going to be coming out of this thing. And I think honestly we're going to end up with just like a whole world like lost decade, like 10 years of just like stagnation of just blah, where essentially like economies are just junk. And like I say, just go back and study Japan and you can see all this like amazing stuff basically just play out, and it's playing out right now. And the smartest thing to do, I think, is to prepare for it. Once you get over that feeling of helplessness, like when you realize you can't do anything about it and it's going to happen regardless, what you want to do then is just figure out what you can do about it and how you're going to make money off it, and what the rich people and the smart people and the 1% are doing. Because if you can figure out what the smart people are doing and you can do it with them or before them, you're going to be in good shape. Because this is a huge transfer of wealth, and if you're on the right side of it, you will literally come out of this much better, for where, as opposed to the other side, where I think honestly, like, we're going to see a massive amount of people affected negatively by this situation, and a very small, very, very small group of people will come out better off than this. And I'm going to be one of those people. I'm one of those people. So, hopefully you guys will be as well. And we can all stick together and grow. And, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, we're all looking back and just absolutely grateful for the opportunity that we had to grow not only ourselves, but as a community. Take care of our families and, potentially give back and do something good. So there you have it, guys. I just wanted to do a little TA. I know this like hurricane coming through and everything, so I wasn't expecting what was going on. I didn't know if we are going to lose power. Also, I was, I had spoke to a couple people before, and people are interested in like a little bit more of my time and interactions and everything like that. When I set this channel up, I was initially thinking I would like basically put time into it, but I wasn't going to put any money in, like aside from like just the initial stuff to get it going. Well, here we are coming up on the 1 year point, and I basically have taken all the donations and everything and contributions people have made towards the channel, and I have invested and traded that along the way. And it's actually like, it's a decent little chunk of change considering how much it started with and everything. So I think I'm going to upgrade a new computer soon and basically start streaming, doing like live streams, slap my face on the videos and be able to interact with the community like a little bit more. But in the meantime, and essentially like I could just take my own money and just buy a new computer or whatever. But I decided that I was going to either put to put time into this channel and grow it organically, but I was not going to put a bunch of money into it too. I was going to keep buying stuff out of my own pocket and just keep feeding this machine. It was going to be the opposite. I was going to use my time and let it grow on its own and allow other people's contributions and stuff to grow the channel as I'll like put all that back into it. So what I want to do now is put a, get a new computer and upgrade and give back to the community and grow and whatnot. So I think what I'm going to do is open up a small group where we can interact like 3 days a week or something like that, for just a few hours or whatever at key like market times or just convenient times for the few people that decide to, and we can basically just interact a little bit together. I want people that are interested in it and serious about it and not just going to come in and F off and waste time or whatever. So I'll probably do like a weekly thing, like I don't know, just like $25 or something like that, so I know you're serious. And if that's too much for somebody or whatever, I'm sure we could find a way that you could make contributions to the channel with some of your time that would help me out, that would be more than beneficial than that. So if that's an issue and you are interested in it but you don't have the cash, let me know. That's fine too. But I think that's a good way to basically grow the channel, allow you guys to contribute to it, and then me to give something extra back to you, out of appreciation, and sort of like build the community tighter. So and obviously, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that the value that you get out of my content already is probably worth at least, I would say, $25 a week. So imagine how much more value you get out of actual interaction in real time with me. So if anybody is interested in that, I'd probably just take like 5 people or something like that. And I don't want it to be too crazy. I want to start small and just kind of like, I don't want to be overwhelmed and a bunch of people blowing up chat and just acting crazy, and I'm just not trying to deal with that. And that's a lot of the reason why I want to put like a $25 price tag on it. I know nobody's going to come in and just waste like $25. Come in, you do it one time, and we're not getting along, you're out of here, and I can replace you with somebody better. So but that's it. If you're interested in that, you can contact me through the business page or leave a message in the comments or whatever. I'll probably just take like 5. I think 5 people is pretty reasonable to start with, and probably start it either this week or next week. So if you're interested in that, just let me know, and we can work from there. And if you have like specific things that you're interested in learning about or TA on stuff or whatever, that also gives me a time one-on-one or 1-on-5 to essentially do like TA and share my charts and share my trade setups like privately with people to benefit them, and not necessarily just to like hold out or anything, but that way I'm benefiting these people like more and in real time, because it's hard for me sometimes to put like trade setups and put a lot of this TA out on a bunch of different assets, because like real time, by the time I edit the video and publish it, it might not be relevant again, and there's just so many factors to it, as opposed to like a real time like Discord, like being able to connect one-on-one and also have a better idea as to where like my community is coming from, where you personally are coming from, and then that way obviously like it gives us a much better idea as to much more personal. So, and I put the information to contact me, Crypto Trend Trader, through the YouTube information page, business contact, whatever. So just shoot me an email on there, or you can just message me in the comments if you just want to get to me, and then I can get a hold of you from there. So there you have it, guys. Crypto Trend Trader with your daily update. Like I said, we're still looking good, confirming on longer time frames, but the 4-hour and the daily now are both looking like corrections inbound. So we're going to keep our eye on the moving averages, and the most important thing right now is to watch our red 8 and our yellow 21, and see, do we confirm that cross to the downside, or can we save it back to the upside? And if we do confirm it to the downside, we'll pay attention to our next targets here at the heart line and the 89 at 10.6, and then we're going to look down here to the bottom of the channel and the 200 moving averages around 10,000. So there you have it, guys. Crypto Trend Trader, and I'm out of here.